Come see us do stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Buffalo, Toledo, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Manchester, Glasgow, Belfast, Liverpool, Birmingham, and London. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. So, Power of the People tweeted this out. Chinese people have a better grasp of what's going on in America than most Americans. So, what happened in America is that American corporations, people with all the money who actually run the government, de-invested in the United States, took all our manufacturing jobs and shipped them to poor people in China, and then re-imported those products back at a cheaper rate so they could make money. So the corporations made the money. The American corporations made the money, and what did they do with that money? They bought themselves 450-foot yachts and their own jets. And this guy's going to tell you all about it. Let's watch.
They rob you blind, and you thank them for it. That's a tragedy. That's a scam. That's why I'm saying this right now. Americans, you don't need a tariff. You need a revolution.
You don't need a tariff. You need a revolution. And when a Chinese guy tells you that you need a revolution, you probably actually do, because these guys are willing to stand in front of a tank. Okay, here we go.
For decades, your government and oligarchs only ship your job to China, not for diplomacy, not for peace, but to exploit cheap laborers. And
so I've heard people say, oh, the problem with manufacturing in America is that we just got automation and robots. That's a part of it. The bigger part is that American corporations they took your jobs, turned them into crappy jobs, shipped them overseas to China, poor people in more desperate situations, and then imported the stuff back into the United States. That's what happened. And that's what he's talking about. Okay, here we go.
Really, China doesn't even do those jobs anymore. They send them to Vietnam. You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Phone making and the suicide building.
Really?
They don't do that. That has been years.
All right, here we go. Watch.
In the process, they hollowed out your middle class.
That's right.
Crashed your working class.
They crashed our working class.
Told you to be proud while they sold your future for profit. And yes, China made money, but we used it to build roads, lift millions out of poverty, fund healthcare, raise living standard. We reinvested in our people.
So when we shipped our jobs to China, the money that China made from us shipping our jobs there and all the stuff they made, they invested actually in their country. They got people out of poverty.
He spoke and said we lifted people out of property, which is what some people would counter at him.
Okay, here we go.
My family also benefited from it. What did your oligarchs do? They bought yachts, private jets, and mansions with golf course driveways. They manipulate the market, dodge tax, and poured billions into endless wars.
That's right.
And you get stagnated wages, crippling healthcare costs, cheap dopamine, debt, and flag to wave property made in China while they pick your pocket.
He said to give you American flags to wave that are probably made in China. Probably right. And they pick your pocket.
I mean, they make them back.
40 years, both China and the United States benefit from the trade, the manufacturing, but only one of us use that wealth to build.
That's right. So the United States and China both benefited from this trade, but only one country actually invested that wealth in their own country to build.
This isn't China's fault. This is yours. You let this happen. You let the oligarchs fit your lies. Well, they made you fat, poor, and addicted. Now they blame China for mess they made. I don't think so. I don't think you need another tariff. You need to wake up. You need to take your country back. I think you need a revolution.
In fairness, one of the ways they screwed up was not doing a tariff. That's one of the initial ways. Like, they set unfair trade themselves, you know?
So here's this guy, Jack Ma. So he's like the Jeff Bezos of Asia. He created...
Who he is?
Yeah, that's Jack Ma. So
the guy that disappeared for 2 months because he ran his mouth?
He ran his mouth. And Jack Ma, so he created Alibaba, which is the Amazon of Asia. And he sees it clear as day. For 3 decades, the United States corporations raked in obscene amount of cash. It was so big, it was outstripping China's top 4 banks. all by shipping manufacturing overseas. Where'd all that loot vanish to? Well, straight into war chests and Wall Street's greedy paws. Tanks got funded, traders got fat, but bridges and roads? No, not a dime. Pure plunder, no progress. So let's listen to Jack Ma. Let's listen to what he says.
We just want to control the IP. We just want to technology.
So he's saying that's what the United States said. We just want to control the technology and the IP. We just want to
brand and leave the lower end jobs for the world. Great strategy. Past 30 years, IBM, Cisco, Microsoft, they made tons of money. The profit they made are much more than the 4 largest banks in China. But where the money?
So the American corporations made tons of cash, made way more money than all the banks in China. Where'd all that money go? Where'd it go?
There you go. Past 30 years, the American had 13 wars, spending $14.2 trillion. The money going there. What if they spend a part of that money on building up the infrastructure, helping the white collars and the blue collars? No matter how strategy good it is, you're supposed to spend money on your own people. And the other money, which I'm curious about, is that when I was young, I heard America is about Ford and Boeing, those big manufacturing companies. The last 10, 20 years, I heard about is Silicon Valley and Wall Street.
That's it.
The money go to the Wall Street. And what happened? Year 2008. The financial crisis wiped out $19.2 trillion USA alone. They wiped out all the white collars and destroyed 34 million jobs globally. So what if the money is not Wall Street? What if the money spent on the Middle East, Middle West of the United States, developing the industry there? That could be changed a lot. So it's not the other countries steal jobs from you guys. It is your strategy.
So this was America's strategy. China didn't steal our jobs. This was American corporations' big idea. It wasn't China's idea that America would take our manufacturing and send it to them. That was our idea. Why? Because it would increase corporate profits, because they could make their products cheaper. And then the corporations could get richer, and then they could buy jets, and they could buy yachts, and they could buy golf courses. But they didn't invest any of that money back in the Midwest. They put all that money into that stuff, or they put it into bombs for the Middle East. He said what did we do, 11 wars at $15 trillion?
13.
13 wars? Yeah.
Yeah. I had lost count. I didn't realize we were already up to 13.
So I'm just saying Jack Ma doesn't obviously understand American exceptionalism, which means the rest of the world can have nice things except for America.
Yeah, well, he was cool with all that until he said something about they should get rid of all the regulations on him, and then they took him to a camp, and now he talks sense.
So I just want to show you this. These are all the United States military bases. These are not United States manufacturing companies.
Right.
These are not United States manufacturing factories. These are not factories. These are This is what we make. We make bombs, and we make military installments. And this is every dot on there is a United States military base. Just look at all the ones we just have in Africa alone, which is why we killed Gaddafi. We killed Gaddafi because he was going to unite Africa. But we can't have that happen because we need to steal their natural resources, their cobalt and things like that, and exploit their labor, which is why we killed Gaddafi, because he was going to unite Africa as one, just like the European Union is. He was going to make an African Union, and he was going to have their own currency, and it was going to be backed by gold, and it was going to compete with the U.S. dollar, and we can't have that. That's why we killed him. So here it is. Look at why it's tense. Okay, you can turn it down. So just take a look. This is all the United States. Oh, look, there's Kurt. Look at all off of China. Look at all the military bases we have off China. Look at in the Central and South America. Look at that. Look at in the Middle East. Look at in Europe. Look at Africa. This is what we do. This is what we do with our money. China invested. It lifted that, I don't know how many, 800 million people out of poverty. This is what we do with our money. And that's the Democrats and the Republicans. Trump isn't talking about closing those down. He's increasing the budget. Trump is increasing the exact opposite of what people thought he was going to do.
Doge didn't reduce the budget.
Yeah, but just so you know, Doge is not reducing the budget.
It might as well be nothing. It might as well be nothing.
It might as well be nothing. And people tell me, no, Jimmy, they're going to get around to the Pentagon. They are not getting around to the Pentagon. They are not doing that.
Yeah, if Trump was seriously going to do that, they would have sent their discount Sirhans, you know? They have the top of the line ones.
That's exactly right.
Just throwing cuckoos you had knocking around from the old days, see if they could do it.
That's a lot of military bases, don't you think? Shouldn't that be pissing everybody off? Nobody's talking about it. Nobody ever talks about the 900 military bases we have around the world. And hey, let's shut those down. No one ever talks about that. They talk about
to protect all the shipping.
They talk about, oh, we've got to deal with Iran. Iran must be dealt with. We've got to deal with Yemen. We've got to deal with Iraq and Syria and Somalia and the Sudan and the South Sudan.
It sounds like Israel's got it. I say let them handle it. As long as they do a great job, everybody likes them, you know? They don't need us getting in their way.
People are so...
go full force.
This is how people are
no money from us.
That's right. The United States is... They're people... They're like battered wives. They just take it. They just take it now. Nobody even brings this up. Look at that. Nobody even brings this up. Look at that. No other country has... What does China have, like 3 military bases? Russia has like maybe 8?
If that broke out on your cock, you'd get help.
That's right. So if you want to know what happened and why Trump has to try to now do tariffs, is because we screwed ourselves, and we're continuing to. Trump is not stopping this.
Do you want to take over the world or not? Do you want China to win?
That's what people say.
Somebody has to take over the world in the end.
This is
nothing weird about saying that.
They go, oh, you want China to win? This is how China wins. This is how they win, because China isn't doing this. This is how we lose, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we in some contest for a horrible one world government that we weren't told about?
Yes.
And losing. And so, like, it feels like that. I'm like, were we in some Olympic thing we were supposed to take over everything, and if we don't before a certain day, it's all over? Like, maybe fill everybody in if that's the case. Because I don't care as of now.
Just to show this again. Look at this. That's the United States. Okay. All right. You're all suckers. We're all suckers. Hey, if you watch my show, you already know the mainstream news media is not reliable. They never tell you the truth about Russiagate, Ukraine, COVID lockdowns, or anything. That's why I keep partnering with Ground News. Their app and website make it super easy to compare media coverage from all over the world in one place. Like on Trump shifting his stance on Ukraine, if you go to Ground News/JD, you'll see the full coverage on how he's cut them off from intelligence sharing. Even the UK, one of our closest allies, can't pass along any U.S. intel to Ukraine. Ground News gives me instant access to over 300 articles covering it worldwide. They even tell you if each reporting source has a political bias, how reliable the reporting is, and if they're independently owned or corporate controlled. They'll even show you where the news sources are based. It's a super helpful way to see what kind of biases lead to some thinking this is some catastrophic betrayal of Ukraine that weakens NATO, while others call it a strategic realignment that forces Europe to take responsibility for its own security. When it comes to anything Trump does, you know the media is going to twist it to whatever fits their agenda, and if you're not checking multiple sources, you're going to fall into their trap. So I can't recommend enough following the Ukraine war on Ground News and checking your blind spots to find these stories missing from the other side of the political spectrum. You won't get this kind of transparency from mainstream media. Ground News is a lot like this show, actually. They're doing what we're doing, So just go to Ground News /JD or just scan the QR code on the screen. We're offering my viewers 40% off the same plan I use, which gets you unlimited access to all their features. This knocks the price down to just $5 a month. Subscribing not only supports an independent news platform working to make the media more transparent, it also supports this show and everything we do here. Come see us do stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Buffalo, Toledo, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Manchester, Glasgow, Belfast, Liverpool, Birmingham, and London. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.